Welcome to another episode of Tech Talk with Toy Infesanya. And today I have with me Mrs. Morenike Amosun.
Good
You're
afternoon to you.
welcome.
Yeah.
Nice having you here.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. Mrs. Morenike is a finance and retail expert. We'd like to know more about your success journey. Can you
Okay.
just share that? Because I know a lot of people are out there wondering, what do you mean by finance and retail? Yes, finance is quite explanatory, right? But the retail aspects,
Okay.
and so just talk about your success journey and how you became a finance and retail expert.
All right. Thank you, Tony, for having me once again. All right. Like Tony has said, my name is Morenike Amosu, and I studied finance in school. I was one of those people who, even though you'd consider intelligence, I must have dunked or flunked sciences so bad that I just needed an entry into the management space. Yeah. And so I did finance, not because I was this sure of my career path. It was a make it for no, let the matter
I
not be
get
read.
I get
And so I did finance in school. And then promptly I finished and worked. I worked in payroll in my service year. When I worked in payroll, it kind of gave me an idea. I worked within a university system. So technically, it looked like an extension of school. However,
okay.
things were so manual. And I mean manual. So picture cash office, payroll, salaries, and everything being manual. And I mean tons and tons of files.
Wow.
As usual, I felt there was a way to do better.
Okay.
But technology wasn't like this. And no, I'm not trying to act like, oh, I finished that year. But yes, it was those years when you had
have
to
this typewriter.
calculate everything. And there were human errors. And I knew we
Yeah.
could do better. So I finished from service, prepared to now go back home.
Wow.
I had lived a nurtured childhood, and if I allowed my parents, they would just have given my CV to Chief Ojo. You know that sentence. Not
Oh,
anything
yeah,
bad, just take your CV. So the very first job I could get, I did. I told my dad that I was going to do insurance. Insurance wasn't lofty at all, but I was prepared to do it. So to be able to stay in Ibadan, I had to do a certification, and I did Oracle. Now, I did not
Oh.
know that Oracle could be deployed in this many industry or multi-sectors. But I told my dad that, the gist says that once you do it, you won't even look for a job anymore. He says, "Yeah, really?" And of course, the amount was that way because it was a certification. So I stayed and I did what you would now look at as basic Oracle. I've since gone on to do database administration, and I know that, okay, you can deploy it. So after having done that, I moved into what you will call the retail space. I had tried to do just my own business and discovered that I also function better on teams, right? And so every time I had to step out of what was my small retail business, I worked with big teams, and then I began to learn the world of retail. So when you said in my introduction, the people wonder at retail experts. Tony, retail is a whole.
A whole lot.
If
A
you
whole
allow
lot.
me, I would crash the space.
Wow.
But yes, I believe that there's someone out there watching us who's just in their own little world, either running their own thing. There are these little bits of SMEs in Nigeria doing some form of retail.
Yes.
But the career path is inexhaustive, and I'll delve a bit into it. So for me, I had done my business, and then at some point at that time, technology wasn't also like this. So I think I just had a baby, and I wanted to. What I thought was my business had failed. In retrospect, you can look at it and think, what was I thinking? So I decided I was going to work in retail. So because I had also managed my business for quite a bit, I decided that what I wanted to be was work on another team, but I was going to be manager, which was quite audacious, And so I remember having an interview with the head of industry, and she says, she took my time. By the time we finally got to as in when I was going to be interviewed by her, she felt, okay, why managerial? Sales associate is there, you're not doing. In short, there are several roles, and then you want to be manager. And so I said, I can be manager. And she says, okay, tell me, what experiences do you have managing? And then I went into what I had done. So I've done bridals for the longest time. I run an active bridal store I also do what now I understand as branding. At the
Okay.
time, I didn't have that name for it, but I could pitch. One thing I could do, as you must guess, I have oratorial intelligence. I also did not know that at the time. Now I play in my strengths, and it just so happens that finance and retail, it works well for this field. So I told that this is what I do. I do my designs. I sent to an Asian country. I get in this. She said, okay, tell me about your shipping process. Oh, I talked about it. This other side business, what do you do with it? And then I went on full scale. When I get this, I go to the factory. I do a sample. I send to this. I pitch for this. And she felt, okay, it's beginning to look like it. But I wish I could just, if I was encouraging someone on this call, I wish I would just have said, by the time I was done, I got the job. No. She said to me, she said, I like your energy, but I'm not going to be able to employ you because this energy. So there's that thing with entrepreneurs where you don't exactly want to say your business failed. Now I wear my failures like a badge. It's all the success.
Yes.
It's just turned inside out. And no, it's not
Yes.
motivational speech. It is exactly what it is. Every time you have to start over, if you are on this call and you're looking and you're listening in, you're starting from experience. You're starting, there's a pressure of diamonds. It just becomes, yeah? Even when you do not know, when you still think it's cold. So she said to me, she said, I like your energy, but I feel so. When I was explaining my business to her, which is Renix, I said, I didn't say that Renix had failed. I said, I could have said, Tony, my friend, is going to be the managing partner. I am prepared to work. I want to learn new things. I want to expand my challenges. And she said, I feel that this your energy. You're going to be using it to market for Tony. You know that thing about
Yes.
conflict of interest. Meanwhile, was she wrong? Maybe not. And I'm never one to be caught unprepared.
Yes.
So I said to her, I said, I have gone to interviews prepared to say exactly the right things. You know those people who just have the words for the interviewer, you say it, the interviewer is nodding, you already can see your space. You can see your space in the corner.
Yeah.
And so I said to her, I said, I know exactly what to say to impress you, but I came here today prepared to tell the truth. Tony, that looked like what changed her mind. But she's a hard person. She's hard at her business to make the right choices so that she can get success.
Yes.
Okay. And so she said to me, she said, integrity is a major deficiency in the retail space. And so I like what you said. And so I would sleep over it.
Wow.
And so when I said thank you as I was leaving, she said, don't thank me. She's that hard a person. And she said, don't thank me. Let me sleep through. She knows what she wants. She's faced with this. Okay, this beat could work for us. And as I trained over the years, because I now after leaving her, I became the sales and retail expert, as in par excellence. I say to my trainees, I say, integrity actually counts. Because it was what she taught about. And then what she called me back. If in my journey as I worked with her, don't forget I wasn't exactly looking for promotion. I was trying to delve into the retail industry to know what it entailed. And by the time I had worked for 3 months, trust me, I could talk about my flaws all day. But the things that I could do well was coming from the little business I had been able to manage. So 3 months on, she says to the team members, she said, I think we should take more of Morenike's entrepreneurial friends. The ones who have done the business a little, who understand that the profit is not the profit. Yeah? And so it was that she realized that, okay, now you see, even if we're making 80 million, maybe some 20 years ago, the cost, especially if you're building a brand, if you're building an aspirational brand, if you're trying to delve into something big, you actually spend. The more luxury your customers, I dare say, the more problem for you. Because now you're not just selling commodity, you're selling customer experience, you're selling value. As I grew on the shop floor, which is what we talk about when we talk about retail, as I grew on the shop floor, I discovered competencies. Now, Tony, either you know me deep or not, you know that I like to sell. Yeah. A better part of convincing and speaking is actually selling the idea to the person.
Yes.
Most times in my classroom right now, I'm facilitating the thoughts that the participant already has, the knowledge that they have to put together. And so I did a brilliant job at selling, or so I thought. Yeah, and I'll tell you the other side. So when I sold well, she would say to me all the time, she would say, I like that you can sell well, but if I employed you to sell, I would pay you so much lower. You know why? Any machine, and technology wasn't like this yet again, machines can do the job of selling. So it was one of those brands that in that time had chosen to work on the mall, had chosen to have spaces in malls across Nigeria. So there was that bit. And she would say, I need you to deploy your brains more, right? And so what she wanted, that she knew I could do, was actually one of the things I would talk about, which is an arm of technology too. And so she would say, I need you inside the inventory. And I'll break that down to the layman out there. So if we have chain retail stores that has 17 retail outlets across Nigeria, the worst thing that can happen. So in retail, nothing ever finishes on the rack. And I mean,
Yeah.
either you're selling cup or you're selling bottle, it doesn't finish. It means that year end like this, we can look at the stock all through the 17 retail outlets and have 60 million sitting. Because it can't finish. If it finishes, it's not retail. Maybe it's warehousing. Maybe it's logistics and distribution. However, don't forget that these things that I said too were also part of the things in retail. So she would say that. So imagine that we have 60 million, and it came about because manager A couldn't liaise with manager B to say, if it's not selling in Lauren, can you bring to me in central Lagos? Maybe Lagos had 4 retail centers. So to that effect, we actually had a global software, which in itself was a supposed innovation in retail at the time. Yeah, so basically I did that for quite a while until I felt ready to delve back into my own. Let me leave it be.
So that we don't go
Derail.
into where we're still. So let's talk about how you've been able to integrate technology in the area of finance being
Okay.
one,
Yeah.
and then the retail aspects being one, right?
Okay,
So
okay.
let's talk about
All right, thank you so much. Like I said, when I'm talking, you see the passion in there.
Yeah, the passion.
It looks as if there's an industry waiting to be battered. But yes, like I said, it's what I've done for quite a bit, yeah. So I stumbled into finance. I was the finance person who would not have done finance, who would have taken it as they are finished, oh yeah, daddy, take your, so that I can do me, right? However, right after service here, after doing my insurance that I was so convinced about, doing my Oracle, after 3 months, my uncle had better plans here. They wanted me in stockbroking. This particular year, the stockbroker market was booming. There was a boom.
Yeah, I think
When I want to warn people, I try to say, hi, I'm not a stockbroker, but I worked in stockbroking in the year that stockbroking was making. I sat opposite research boys, the guys in our research team, and it was just a boom. So I began to learn things, but I didn't know the full picture of what my uncle intended for me. In retrospect, he just wanted what was good for me. I like to see what your plan is for me. So their moms and dads, you can tell them, you can say, there's a whole world out there. You get to do all of what you want to do while still maintaining a career. So I had come to Lagos for some interview. I was living in Ibadan, living my single girl life, and then boom, I was in stockbroking. I was living with my uncle, and I was now working in a certain firm in Ikoyi. Now, if you know about stockbroking, there are little mushroom stockbroking firms. It can be like 200 little firms, just out there in the VI and all of that. Yeah, they would probably meet with regulations, but they're so mushroom and all of that. And there was so much learning to learn. I was learning about the stock market at a fast rate. There were newsletters to be done. There were things to be noted. There was, what the bull and bear market was. And so this was finance for me. I couldn't trade officially, but I was also learning what it is, what it entails, how the regulated market works, what are the implications, the CSCS. It was just a whole lot. But there's an angle that I said that my uncle was trying to groom me into, and that aspect was capital market, the capital finance. So there are the marketers in stockbroking, there are the front officers, there are the little, and there's the one that everybody, the ones who bring firms to the markets. When we say market touch, we have blown and we want to go to the markets. Yeah, that's when the stockbrokers come to it. So there was all of that, and I was learning their own tools, not mine. I wasn't doing finance on my own. So there were the softwares that made our job, easier, and I was just learning about that. I did a bit in that sector, and I moved to what is now known as the training arm of finance. I pitched my tent with one or two academies, and then they had the ways of deploying their learnings. We weren't learning only. So even Zoom and Microsoft Teams wasn't like this at all.
Yeah.
There was a bit of Slack. There was a bit of some other learning platforms.
Yeah,
If I see you
Zoom,
doing this, exactly,
and
I
all
would
that.
now say to you, I'll call you, Tony, please, what was that thing that you used to teach that? There was all of that, and I was learning on their platform. Like you said, there was that, there was Zoho, there was a whole lot in that space that has since evolved to become conferencing properly now. Yeah. So it was the strength of that. Don't forget that I said I had also worked in retail, and I was using the knowledge from retail and finance to teach the things that I knew. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. You've said so many things in the space of just this few minutes.
Yeah.
Okay, what would be your advice to anyone out there who is aspiring to become a fintech professional?
Okay.
right? You've talked about the retail space. You've
Yeah.
talked about
The
few
financing. Yeah.
tools that one could actually look into. So let's look into the fintech. First, I wanted to break down fintech, right?
Okay.
And how can someone, get what it requires to either be in that space?
Okay. Thank you. Okay, so everybody looks at tech and thinks, "Oh, it's not for me." Whereas in our everyday lives, you see technology being deployed. The most advancement I've seen in the finance space has come from audacious, maybe young investors, young startups deciding that, okay, I can tackle a problem, but I can tackle it the technology way. So every of the fintech apps that we have today started with an idea.
Yeah.
And so my challenge to everybody out there is to say that whatever it is you currently do, get the knowledge. Get the knowledge of what translates this to tech. Because what tech does is that it advances whatever you already know. It acts as the catalyst and it helps you speed up. So you see people, this generation, maybe the generation, me, you, the generation after us, they are doing gazillions of what our parents did, because it's not just like this, and tech is the enabler, right? And so in fintech, you could be solving problems in whatever line. So I just talked about technology as it applied to just deploying my teaching. All I want to do is I want to teach the knowledge that I know. And then there are softwares, there are apps that enable this. There are even further apps that help me put it on sales platform. So if I was working as an independent trainer, I could say, oh, the customer service class, because I didn't tell about that part where I wrote a book on customer success.
Okay.
Yeah, because I had interacted with customers for 10 years and I felt 10,000 hours of expertise. There must be something that I can do. My husband felt, like, who did you ask? There are references. I would I would put my references. But there's something I definitely know. And if you know about the customers, you could predict their trends and all of that. So in the fintech space, it is a decide to learn. And the reason why a company like Macintosh comes to play is that they think about it for you. They think about the certifications you need to get, because there's only so long as I call myself a coach, as somebody says, oh, are you certified? It's a thing. So if I decide I'm going to be in finance, I'm going to be in retail, somebody is going to ask, what makes you the expert? If I want to earn like a consultant, what makes me able to earn like a consultant? Being able to proffer solutions that the average retail person does not see. So inventory management is a concept in retail. It is the whole point. It is how we see on those e-commerce platforms. What we see on Amazon, it is plenty. Actually, exactly. So let me leave it at that.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you so much.
All
Right?
right.
I just would chip in a bit, right?
Yeah.
I know that you had mentioned that tech is an enabler, technology
Yeah.
is an enabler.
Yeah.
It makes you work smartly,
It makes
right?
you work
It gives
smartly.
you tools to enhance and make the workflow a bit more easier.
Yeah.
In finance department, or in finance as it may be, you have several tools. I know we have, of course, you've mentioned your inventory.
Yeah.
They have, I think, the ELP softwares
Yeah.
that actually could help, right?
Yeah.
And we now have different technology platforms,
Yeah.
right, which is being managed by several vendors,
Yeah.
like the one you mentioned earlier, being
Yeah.
the Oracle.
Yeah.
So that also could be something that is a bit relevant.
I see.
Understanding, okay, you want to get into the fintech, right?
Yeah.
One, you could start from your current skills.
Yeah.
What do you have, and what can you contribute into the fintech as it is? Because it's quite large. You have the people who is going to somewhat build the applications that
Yeah.
you want to use, and you have the back end who apparently understand the system, like you talked about the inventory for Amazon.
Yeah.
Right, so that alone is a whole lot.
Yeah.
So fintech has to do with, you have to kind of understand the integrations around that.
Yeah.
And know where you want to play in that space.
Yeah.
It helps you better, other than just say, I want to be in the fintech world and all that, right? Thank you.
Yeah.
So, in summary, um, what is the future, or for you, like, what is the future of tech in finance?
Okay. I see a world where more people pick micro units of finance to solve problems in, and it was when you were even talking about these addendums. So finance exists, but personal finance exists. So more and more people are beginning to get concerned about their finances as as the economy is turning on its own. Yeah, we see that people actually need to know about their finances. So imagine people wanting to solve a problem and saying, I will solve budgeting problems. I would help. So it means that it's a sector, and I can say I would solve. Already there are apps that cater to that. There's the Zeta app, there's the Trim apps. I want to be able to manage my subscriptions. Yeah. I want to be able to, so someone could choose to play in that space. So when I say people will pick finance, not from the broad scale, from the many little ways, I can say I would do finance, but I would do finance for SMEs.
Okay.
And I will solve problems within that space. I would do finance for people who are in the learning and development space. It is still finance, but I'm certain they could outsource to me and not worry about the back end and say, oh, we already carry expenses in this line. We would rather outsource this so that it's only is democratized. When we need the service, we call this person who solves that problem. So I think that finance will move to that level where everybody knows that I can pick a pie, I can pick a little part of it and just solve
So
problems.
I didn't initially said summarize. I think I would ask you one more question. Right?
Alrighty.
I know you play well in the capacity building space.
Yes,
right?
please.
And over the years, we know that guys in the tech industry don't have so much of managerial skills.
Yeah.
Or they're a bit scattered, kind of.
Okay.
There's this, you know that there's, that
I
they
know
need
what
to
you're talking
realign.
about.
Like they need, so what's your, what kind of skills would you encourage people in the tech space to get, to skills that will help them perform better,
Okay.
present better, communicate better?
So I got the hack from you just now because you just said communicate better. So yes, immediately you began to describe the tech guys. I see them as near aloof, near I can do my thing on my own. I can work at home and earn. However, as I talked about in class today, there's even the emotional intelligence to be able to work with multi-teams. That only so long as you're good, as you begin to work beyond you, you work with other teams, you go speak somewhere, you go, whatever it is. So I think emotional intelligence is a major. I think also that communication skills, in short, they should learn whatever it is they know, they should add more to it. Yeah. I also feel that persuasion skills. So we're all selling, either we admit or not. We're all selling. My decision to either do something from this that I have learned will be on how convinced I was by this show or something. So if they realize that they're in the business of selling, then they will know it's a no-brainer to be in the business of persuasion. People go with the best person who gives them the best customer experience. There's almost no wheel that we're going to invent as we move on in this century, except that somebody is going to make me feel better for my dollar spend, and I'm going to go with that person. So the tech person who feels, I just need to know I don't know, those are your certifications. There are plenty. And I don't need people. They actually need people skills and then the ability to adapt.
Okay.
Because the needs of last day have evolved.
Okay. So I picked the people management,
Yeah.
team player,
Yeah.
right?
Adaptability.
Effective communication,
Yeah.
adaptability. There was another
Persuasion.
persuasion,
Yeah.
right? I want to believe that a summary of what you had said would mean that you want to sell whatever technology. If you're in the
My
consulting
sister.
space,
Yeah.
even as if you want to even get a job, you will be interviewed, and you
a
need to
pitch.
be able to effectively communicate your skills, your competence to whoever, your stakeholders. You need to know how to present your business case, because really you can't just say you want to change.
Just say, I'm good,
You want to change the data. You want to migrate the data to paper with no justification. So that is really clear. Thank you so much, Morenike. We are so grateful. Thank
It's
you.
been
We
my
hope for next to
pleasure.
call you. You'll be here, right?
Please feel free to let me
Okay.
know. Yeah.
So my viewers out there, thank you so much for listening and watching our show. Kindly like, share, and subscribe.